Hello everyone, welcome to CNA, the daily newspaper analysis. So today we are back with the following list of topics to discuss. So let's start. The first topic says about the Supreme Court's verdict on the Election Commissioner of India's appointment. So we could see that recently the Supreme Court has directed the central government to form a permanent selecting committee consisting of the Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, Chief Justice of India or his nominee to recommend the appointment of election commissioners. So we can see that recently it has been ruled that the appointment of the CEC should be made through a transparent and a participatory process. So therefore, it has directed the government in association with all these members, a committee should have formed to recommend a name for the respective election commissioners. So why such move has been emancipated by the Supreme Court? So we can see that the ruling will bring more transparency and accountability to the appointment process of the CEC. Also, it will prevent any undue influence by the ruling government in the appointment of the CEC. And the ruling also reinforces the importance of an independent election commission in ensuring the fairness of the democratic process in the India. So therefore, in 2015 also, a PIL was filed challenging the constitutional validity of the practice of the center appointing members of the election commission. And thereby in October 2018, a two-judge bench of the Supreme Court referred this case to a largest bench since it would require a close examination of the Article 324 of the respective constitution. So therefore, we know about Article 324, Clause 2, where it states that the President appoints the Chief Election Commissioner and another election commissioners subjected to any law made by the Parliament. Okay, so therefore, today we could have seen that we have seen that there are various number of problems in association with this Election Commission of India, and therefore, over the last couple of years, several actions and omissions of the commissions have come in for criticism. Okay, and therefore they have felt was suffering from credibility crisis, citing various violations of the moral code of conduct, also during the time of 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Okay, so we know that Election Commission of India is one of the important constitutional body for keeping a free and fair elections in our country. And if such appointment is not done fairly, then obviously we cannot make this element of constitution very much productive. So therefore, we can see such decision has directly came up with a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court giving the decisions of setting up the committee of all those members which we have discussed. Okay, chalo. Next पे आते हैं. World Wildlife Day 2023. So we know March 3 is known as World Wildlife Day, which marked annually to draw attention to issues of conservation of flora and fauna. So this year, the theme is Partnership for Wildlife Conservation. Okay, so which will allow us to celebrate all conservation efforts from intergovernmental to local scale. Okay, so we know that because the CITES, that is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, was adopted on March 3, 1973, which is a multilateral treaty. And therefore, because of this, the CITES is celebrating this year 50th anniversary of this particular aspect of WWD. So therefore, we could see that because of this pact was basically signed on this very day. So March 3 has been dedicated to World Wildlife Day. So the day creates awareness of the diverse flora and fauna in the world, and the day is an opportunity to learn about their respective habitats. Also, the day is essential to promote the conservation of every type of species that we have today in our world. Okay, so therefore, these days remind us of the conservation of biodiversity, which is essential for the species survival. Okay, so therefore, this has been discussed thoroughly alongside the World Wildlife Day, which is on March 3. And please do remember the respective theme, that is Partnership for Wildlife Conservation. Okay, chalo, next पे आते हैं. Myanmar teak trade. So why this has been in news? So since February 2021 coup in Myanmar, when the democratically elected government was overthrown, the military junta has also taken control of Myanmar Timber Enterprises, which is a state-owned company which has exclusive rights over the country's precious timber and teak trade. Okay, so we know that teak from Myanmar's deciduous and evergreen forest is considered the most tensile and durable hardwood resistance to water and termites. So therefore, it is in the demand for this high-end furniture, veneer and ship decking, which is much sought after by the luxury yacht industry. But today, because of such number of restrictions, the illegal harvesting of timber and teak from Myanmar has taken place, which has also relatively has a greater impact on the nation's economy. Okay, so today, because of this respective areas of timber that has been illegally traded, it has got impact on the Indian traders who produce an exorbitant amount of the teak. And therefore, we can see that India is looked upon as a leakage country for illegally exporting this respective timber. Okay, so therefore, in today's time period, if the particular government, that is the military junta government, does not strengthen its enforcement of existing laws and also it does not increase its transparency in the supply chains without any international corporations, we could see that the demand side of the problems cannot be addressed at a faster rate. Okay, so we see that more and more number of regulations should come so that this number of Myanmar trade can be soon be utilized in a very usual as well as a legalized manner rather than going for some of the illegitimate means. Okay, chalo. Next पे आते हैं. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Why it is in news? So the government of India suspended the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act license of the Center for Policy Research. Okay, so what we know about this FCRA? So FCRA was enacted during the emergency in 1976 in an atmosphere of apprehension that foreign powers were interfering in India's affairs by pumping in funds through independent organizations. So these concerns had been expressed in Parliament as early in 1969. And this law sought to regulate foreign donations to individuals and associations so that they functioned in a manner consistent with the values of sovereign democratic republic. So therefore, the main objective of this particular act, okay, requires every person or NGO wishing to receive foreign donations to be registered under the respective act. And therefore, it prohibits a receipt of foreign funds by candidates for elections, journalists or newspapers, and media broadcast companies. So we have seen that this law was amended in 2010 and also recently it was amended again by the current government in 2020, giving the government the tighter control and scrutiny over the receipt and utilization of foreign funds by the respective NGOs. Okay, so therefore today when the things associated with this particular move has been seen, okay, so we could see that this type of regulations are very important when you are directly detailing out some of the foreign contributions to our country. Okay, so therefore, now when the government has suspended the Center for Policy Research, its respective investments, okay, and therefore it has been coming under the ambit of this FCRA, and therefore we can see that FCRA was in news in the coming times. Okay, chalo. Lastly, आता है South Asia's human capital in the resilience if needs. So why this is all about? So you can see that this context of the main article is to discuss the potential of the human capital in South Asia. Okay, so we know that South Asia, which includes countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, has significant and diverse human capital. However, we have seen that this region still faces significant challenges in fully realizing its human capital and potential due to various factors such as poverty, inequality, and limited access to education and health services. So the recent pandemic, economic slumps, and extreme weather events have hit South Asia in rapid succession since 2020. And these events have already undermined decades of development gains. So with nearly half of its population under the age of 24 and over 1 million young people set to enter the labor force for every month until 2030, the region could reap an enviably high demographic division. Okay, so therefore today this human capital is totally underutilized because we can see that we have got limited access to education, poor quality education we have got poor healthcare system. Also, discrimination can be seen between the genders, also inadequate infrastructures with respective to the cities. Major types of brain drains can even be realized today. Also, this pandemic has pushed an additional around 35 million people across South Asia to extreme poverty and dealing an unprecedented blow to the region's human capital. So therefore, our robust human development system would not only mitigate the damage, but will also help to ensure lives and livelihoods and are protected and provide the resilient system that South Asia needs to prosper in an incredible world in the coming times. So therefore, addressing these challenges will require significant investments in education, healthcare, infrastructures, and effort to promote equality and reduce discrimination. So therefore, if I have to say in gist, so if I have to say in conclusion, so it basically means about the human capital, which is a critical source of resilience in the South Asian countries rely on for recovery from the recent pandemic and economic slumps. Also, to strengthen resilience and protect the well-being of future generations, government across South Asia needs to take some of the urgent policies, actions, and invest in their respective human capital so that it can reap the benefits of this young human capital in the coming times. Okay, so therefore, we could have seen that how with knowledge, skills, and health, the peoples could accumulate their human capital, which is basically one of the critical source of a recovery of their respective economies. Okay, so this was with the respective editorial discussion. Okay, so we have these 5 MCQs. Please do attempt these MCQs and do join our WhatsApp and Telegram channel for further updates. So that's all for today. Thank you and Jai Hind.